All right, you guys ready? Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, we're gonna have some fun tonight. So I got back from convention this time, and I was super excited to share everything that I learned with you. But I went to convention actually very, very skeptical. Like I don't know if you guys have been in a class where I've kind of talked to you about my journey with DoTerra and just kind of figuring out if I even wanted to do it. Like, because let's rewind the tape a little bit. Back when I opened the office, my sister worked here, Havila, and Havila is great. She loved oils, and we've always had a diffuser at the front diffusing something. For the first 3 years, I had no idea what was in there. Sometimes I liked it, sometimes I didn't like it. I'm like, that's your corner, you do what you want with it. She's like, you should teach an oils class. I'm like, I don't know anything about oils. It's not chiropractic. Like, what's it going to do for us? Well, she left, and now she's working in ministry. And then about a year into the pandemic, one of my friends from North Carolina, Dr. Jake and Dr. Christy, they reached out to me and they said, hey, what have you thought about adding an additional stream of income to the office? I'm like, well, I like making more money, but I'm not just going to add a stream of income to add a stream of income. I'm not going to throw used cars out front. Like, let's make sure that whatever we're doing is aligned with what we're doing, right? Let's make sure that we're getting patients healthier. And they're like, it's completely aligned. And they kind of explained it to me, but I was still skeptical because, it's very outside in, it's like, especially the way that oilers talk about oils. It's like, oh, I've got this symptom, I need this oil for it. And to me, it sounds very much like, I've got this symptom, I need this medication for it. And that's not how health happens, right? You don't have a symptom and mask it with anything, whether it's a medication or an oil. You can't do that. What I know is that there's always cause and effect. And very few things that happen to us happen because we didn't have oils, right? Yeah, just the same way that things didn't happen to us because we didn't have medications. And so I had to kind of slowly go down this path and kind of figure out what the role of oils was in health. And where I landed is in a place that's actually still learning and growing. Like I'm still trying to figure out exactly what it is, exactly what it does. But what it comes down to is really what we don't know. Really. When God created us in the garden, he created us in a perfect environment, an environment that should sustain us for eternity. He created us to live forever in these bodies. And then when we went and we severed that relationship, he created us to work the ground and work the garden and bear fruit. And we're not doing that anymore. And we've seen our health suffer and struggle, and we're dying younger and younger and younger. I mean, even just the last 5 years, we've seen life expectancy drop a year every single year. And we're the only industrialized nation that's seeing that happen. And what you look at when you see the United States of America is a country that's moving further and further away from the life that God intended, even just from a purely biological perspective. We should be in the garden. We should be working the garden. We should be eating the garden. We should be feeding our animals the garden. Then we should be eating those animals. And we're not. We've industrialized everything. We've moved away from it. And so a lot of what I learned at this seminar actually has to do with getting back to the garden. Now, it wasn't about Christianity and Genesis and all the things that I've gone to conventions and seminars before. It wasn't about chiropractic at all. In fact, if you were at the last workshop, I kind of showed you guys how they're really missing the boat on the chiropractic side of things. They have 5 essentials, but none of them addresses the nervous system at all. And so how can you have an organization that completely misses basically the key piece of healthcare help lead you to health? And that's actually where my vision for what I'm doing in DoTerra comes in. Because I have a very unique philosophy on health, right? You don't walk into your medical doctor's office and be told, hey, how's your nervous system doing? Have you had your spine aligned lately? No, they ignore it until it kills you, right? And so You know, part of my goal and part of Dr. Jake and Dr. Christie's goal is to bring chiropractic into the doTERRA health paradigm so that we can expand the vision of what we're trying to accomplish in the United States of America, so that we can expand life expectancy, we can expand life quality, we can decrease disease burden without masking symptoms. And so, yeah, when we got into this, it was like, okay, so this is cool. I see where I'm going with this. This is where we have to go with the office. It's not about getting everybody on board with doTERRA, but what can I do with doTERRA to get them on board with what we're doing? And then, oh my goodness, they have amazing products. They really do. Things that actually work to do the things that they say to do. They have great science and great research behind what they're doing. It's not just like, oh yeah, let's take this plant extract and because herbalism says this, let's do that. No, it's actually they test it in a lab and then they test it in real life and then they do a peer-reviewed study and then they say, okay, well, here's a new product. It's like, that is really cool. So they released some brand new products for us today. The coffee was not one of them, unfortunately. That's my own special blend. The coffee, it's just an organic decaf. I mix a little bit of our chocolate protein in there and then a couple of drops of the peppermint. And I do that in the morning so that I don't need caffeine. Right? Yeah, chocolate protein. Yeah, there's your cocoa. Exactly. And you don't even need the coffee, right? Just a couple of dashes of peppermint there. And you can actually do it with greens. If you're trying to make a cocoa, yeah, here's another recipe for you guys. So cocoa for Christmas, you got the grandkids coming over, kids are running around, they want something. Almond milk, 4 cups. Then I believe it's just 1 scoop of the protein powder, 1 scoop of the greens, and then a little bit of stevia to taste. And then a couple of dashes of the peppermint. So you've got a kind of like candy cane hot chocolate right there. And no sugar, right? Exactly, exactly. And that's, you know, looking at the doTERRA products, it's actually come a long ways. And because I was with friends that had been in doTERRA a lot longer than I was able to hear some of the history. And about 10 years ago, but you know, right after doTERRA got started, they weren't a clean product line. They've actually gone down this pathway as well. And they've started doing things like, oh, let's put out a toothpaste, but not put fluoride in it. Let's put out a sweet product, but let's make sure that it's made with stevia or erythritol or xylitol so that it's not spiking everybody's blood sugar. Let's put out a soap that doesn't have carrageenan in it. Let's put out this treat that doesn't have one of these toxic chemicals in it. And so we're at a place where, no, they're not 100% perfect, but they're 99% of the way there with most of their stuff. And it really comes down to who you are, what you interact with, and can you handle it? I know for me, I stay away from the xylitol stuff because I don't respond well to xylitol. Other people don't respond as well to the erythritol, and some people don't respond as well to stevia. And you know, then you go into some of the other parts of the products as well. So I'm still in a testing phase. I want you guys to also be in a testing phase, and that's actually what tonight's about. This is an experience class. This is not about me lecturing to you the whole time. So we're going to kind of go through this product reveal in reverse order of how excited I am about it, right? Kind of like a top 10 countdown where the best is at the end. So if you miss the end, right, everybody online, if you miss the end, you're not getting the best stuff. So let's start number 1 here. Make sure it works. Oh, come on. Technology. Yeah. There we go. Okay. There we are. Okay. It's back alive. All right. So number 1 is the Blue Lotus. And so some of you may remember coming in the week after I got back from seminar and like, oh, Blue Lotus, what does this do? I'm like, I don't know. Because honestly, I tuned it out because they're talking about flowers and how hard they are to harvest. And like, okay. So here's the deal. Blue Lotus is amazing for your skin. I had no idea because it's like I do coconut oil for my skin. It keeps me young. But actually, Blue Lotus is really, really good at helping your body to produce squalene. And squalene is a precursor to collagen. So if your body does not produce collagen, right, then what do you get? Wrinkles, right? Thin skin, broken down joints. Collagen is the connective tissue of our body. Ligaments, tendons, joints, skin, even muscle is made up at its base by collagen. But squalene is one of those precursors that it needs. Now, Blue Lotus, this is something I learned while I was at the convention. They went into extraordinary detail about they talked about how hard it was to get. And in fact, they tested all the Blue Lotus on the market, and every single other brand was synthetic. There was no other version of Blue Lotus that was actually pure 100% real flower, right? And so it takes like 400 pounds of petals to get a bottle of Blue Lotus like this. So it's not cheap. You can see the wholesale price on that is $66. So for a bottle of that, where it's actually diluted with fractionated coconut oil, this is not cheap. But for a beauty routine and to actually make it work and help your body produce collagen, it's actually worthwhile. And what I've been doing with this is I've been mixing this a little bit with frankincense and myrrh and some of the more expensive oils to make all of them last a little bit longer, and just kind of put it across my wrinkle spots. And I've got a couple of spots that I'm working on to get the skin to clear up. And it's actually accelerating the healing process because it's giving the body that collagen that it needs to help that grow back where it needs to. So yeah, they talk about squalene's chemistry. If you speak chemistry, that's what it looks like. That's organic chemistry for those of you that jumped into that. But yeah, it increases the squalene in the body. So the next product was actually very similar, birch. And they said the exact same thing. They tested about 20 different brands just trying to find a real birch out there. And over the years, they've released some birch, but there's so few people that actually know how to distill birch to get the birch oil. And you're like, it's a tree. There's plenty of birch trees. You probably have one in your backyard, right? Just here, take mine. You know, make some birch oil. It's not that easy, right? They had actually lost the knowledge behind birch distillation process. And so again, what they found is no true birch out there. All the birch that was out there was either 100% synthetic or it was wintergreen with a synthetic molecule flip to make it resemble the birch molecule. And so it wasn't actually real birch. So what does birch do? Birch does a lot of what wintergreen does, but if you're sensitive to wintergreen, birch can do it better without affecting you as well. And so wintergreen is one of the main components in the deep blue rub. And so you can actually use the birch to topically, you know, bring that down. It also, when you use it aromatically, put it in your diffuser, it actually smells a little bit like sarsaparilla, like root beer. And so if you want it, right, I don't want to be made hungry, but if you want it, add a little bit of Madagascar vanilla or citrus bliss in your diffuser at the same time, and it'll smell like a root beer float. And that's kind of a fun scent, fun flavor. But yeah, for like massage, if you've got a massage therapist that you're having rub your back, give them a little bit of birch and have them mix that in, or give them a little bit of the deep blue or the wintergreen and have them mix that in to get that going. So I'm going to send the first two around here. So we've got the birch. I'm just going to pass this around. We'll open it. Try not to tip it upside down, please. Take a sniff. If you want to put a little bit on your wrist, just rub your wrist together and then smell it off your wrist to see how it interacts with your chemistry a little bit. That's a great one to do. And then the first one that I did was the Blue Lotus. This one, go ahead and put it on a wrinkle spot. So I'll take the cap off of that. And it's got fractionated coconut oil in, so just rub it on. Just rub that one straight on there. So that's a good one as well. The next one, this one I didn't know a lot about, but Dennis and Cam have been encouraging me to learn more about forest bathing. And so it was like serendipity, right? You go somewhere, you're like, I need to learn about this thing. I haven't been able to take the time to learn this thing. They taught me about forest bathing. So Shinrin-yoku is Japanese for forest bathing. And there's a lot of new research coming out on forest bathing. So I'm going to send around the Shinrin-yoku so you can smell it. It's supposed to remind you of a forest, and more of a tropical rainforest. If you think about the island of Japan, they're a little bit more tropical than we are here in the States. But that's one that's supposed to smell a little bit more earthy. But what they found in the research on forest bathing is that it's got some really incredible benefits for health. And that makes sense, right? Get into nature, get back to the garden, and you'll experience things like decreased stress, decreased blood pressure, decreased blood sugar. If yours is high, increase if it's a little low. And so, yeah, you can apply it to your skin. You can breathe it in when you're praying or journaling. You can diffuse it to create a clear and fresh surrounding. Or we've got the roller ball here, if you'd rather roll it into your skin, that with a little fractionated coconut oil, breathe it in while you're journaling or as a personal aroma. For women, this can be a really good scent if you want to smell like the outdoors, but not sweat, right? So that's pretty cool. But what they saw from forest bathing was that deep cortisol levels came down, so stress, right? Blood pressure came down, heart rate normalized, lymphocyte levels improved, and then natural killer cells. Anybody know what natural killer cells are for? Killing cancer cells. Killing cancer cells. Those came back up. And so that's just from forest bathing. So, right, what does the blend do? Well, they're in the middle of a peer-reviewed trial that they're running through right now. And what they found, and this is just one participant, so it was one of the medical doctors that's on staff, on their research team. He's like, I'm so excited about this. This is what's happening to me. Let me tell you guys. His systolic blood pressure fell by 30 points using this on a daily basis. His diastolic blood pressure fell 24 points. So systolic, diastolic. That's pretty incredible. His pulse dropped by 10 points. His morning cortisol levels, which is when they're supposed to be the highest, they came down from 23.9 to 14.5. Almost cut it in half. 40% drop. Lymphocyte count. What's that? White blood cells. Your immune system, right? Went from 2870 to 3347. Fighting off invaders, even better. 15% increase. And then we saw natural killer cells. Went from 253 up to 402. 59% increase in his body's cancer fighting ability. Now that's just one. That he might be the exception. We don't have all the results yet, right? So I'm keeping my eyes open for that. But that's consistent with what we see from forest bathing. So what they've been able to do is bottle it up, right? Not all of us can get outside. Those of us that live inside of town can't just step out into nature. You know, we might find a tree, but it's next to a building, right? So to surround ourselves in nature, sometimes getting some of that topical, aromatic, diffusing it, that can actually help with that. So that's really cool. Now, the next one here, I actually really like. Now, this doesn't have a ton of health benefits beyond what the On Guard toothpaste also has. But one of the things I was missing from the On Guard toothpaste was that minty fresh feeling in the morning. And a lot of people were too, right? Anybody else use the On Guard toothpaste at all? Oh, I highly recommend it. Highly recommend it. It's the stuff that's in On Guard helps support a healthy immune system. Like the stuff that you're seeing from Shinrin Yoku, yeah, no, On Guard blows it out of the water. Like it is like if I'm ordering some throat lozenges from DoTERRA that are On Guard, and I'm going to keep them at the front so that anytime I see like a Halls cough drop, I just slap it out of your hand and hand you an On Guard, right? You know, instead of making yourself sick with all that sugar and artificial crap, we're going to give you, the good stuff. Well, the On Guard toothpaste does that while you're brushing your teeth, but I still want that minty fresh in the morning. So the Supermint toothpaste does all the same stuff that the On Guard toothpaste does, but the Supermint blend is actually brand new as of like 6 months ago. So it's still fairly recent, but it has all the benefits of like peppermint and spearmint and wintergreen and all that stuff. But it uses hydroxyapatite instead of fluoride. Now, what does that mean? Well, fluoride, it's shown in research to be good for building up your tooth enamel, but it's really bad for your health otherwise. It competes with iodine in your thyroid. So if you have a bad thyroid at all, do not use fluoride. Filter your water, get all the fluoride out of there because it's stealing life from your thyroid. Hydroxyapatite builds tooth enamel and about 50 other things for your body. It builds up those teeth, remineralizes them, and keeps them healthier. So I'm actually going to pass this around. Hydroxyapatite? That's a great question. I'll have to look it up later, right? So what I would recommend doing with this is just get a little bit here on the bit of your pinky and just rub it on and see if you like it. Okay? And you can swallow it. It tastes really good. Yeah, $11 for a tube of that. So yeah. Unlike Crest, which is going to rob health from you, it actually builds health in. And you don't have to use all that much either. It's very minty. So really good. And it's whitening too. It does all the things that expensive toothpaste would do without actually stealing from your dental health at all. But yeah, the hydrated silica and calcium carbonate help to do that natural polishing. It's got peppermint, Japanese mint, bergamot mint, spearmint. Those essential oils are in there. So you're getting that. I know you can't do it right now, Katie, but yeah, no, if you're breastfeeding or pregnant, just step away from the mint. All right. So yeah, we all need to brush our teeth. That is a fantastic option. Get you away from the Crest, the Colgate, the cheap stuff. Don't use the cheap brands at all. If you can find it in Costco, you probably shouldn't be using it. All right. So this next part is actually a three-part system. So Serenity soft gels are not new, but they reformulated this to create a three-part system. And then they started doing a study on this. So the Serenity soft gels, you can see the ingredients here. It's got lavender flowering topsoil. So lavender, right? Lavender, everybody knows, helps with sleep. L-theanine is amazing for brain health. We all need it, especially if you're dealing with anxiety. It's one of those blockers that blocks some of those molecules that create anxiety things. Tart cherry, it has tart cherry in here. Why does it have tart cherry? Because when you have tart cherry inside your system, your body uses it to create natural melatonin. So it doesn't have melatonin in it, but it allows you to create melatonin. Lemon balm, leaf and stem, passion flower, German chamomile. What do we drink for tea when we need to go to sleep? We get chamomile. So this has that in there. So this by itself is pretty good at helping your body settle into sleep. But that's not all. It's just part of the system. So part two of the system is a brand new product called the Serenity Stick. So the ingredient that's in here that is not in the capsules is the valerian root. And so a lot of it's the same. It's not exactly the same. There's actually a lot of differences here. There's some things in here that should not be taken in internally, but topically and aromatically, your body can do really well with. So what you do with this, you rub it on your wrist, rub your wrist together, rub it on the back of your neck, rub it on your chest, and then you do this about 30 minutes before you go to sleep. So I'll pass that around. Give that a good smell. If you're having any trouble getting to sleep, staying asleep, or anything, add these two. They work synergistically with each other. And then there's also the oil. So, right, we've got the capsules. I could send that around, but they're still sealed up. The oil itself is very similar, but you can't diffuse the stick. So topically, you're going to absorb some of that into your bloodstream. And then that you'll diffuse in the room at the same time. So what do you start doing? So let me flip forward here first. So number one, you diffuse the oil. You start that about 30 minutes prior to bedtime. That's going to help getting your body ready. It's getting in your bloodstream aromatically through your lungs. Number two, about 30 minutes before bedtime, take one or two of the soft gels simultaneously. And that starts to get it into your digestive system so that it can start hitting your bloodstream that way. And then as you're getting into bed, you apply that. And this is something that I have my kids do. Like since the seminar, I've been having my kids rub it on their arms, rub it on the back of their neck, rub it on their chest. And they've been sleeping so much better. It's amazing. I love it. Like it's been really good. So here's what they did. They did some research, right? This is what all the charts are for. So first what they did is they did 2 weeks baseline. They had everybody in the study do 2 weeks of baseline. They were their own control group. We wanted to see how everybody reacted, how everybody's sleep score was. They used the same sleep tracker so they could have the same numbers from everyone. Then they introduced, for 2 weeks, just the oil, just the Serenity oil. Doubled their sleep score after 2 weeks, just by diffusing the Serenity oil. Even better response than just diffusing lavender. Then they added the new stick. They started applying that for 2 weeks. Added another 50% to the sleep score. And then by the time they got to the soft gels and did that for another 2 weeks, the sleep score had tripled. So what are the results from after they did this 8-week process? So beforehand, people that were falling asleep easy was less than 50%. Afterwards, it was over 70%. People that fall asleep faster, it was about 45%, jumped up to 70%. Sleeping calmer, more restful sleep, right? 45%, jumped over 70%. Wake up less at night. It was, again, about 45%, almost 70%. Wake up easier in the morning, almost 50%, almost 70%. Wake up alert, 45% again, over 70%. So yeah, really good stuff. Well, what else? Quality of life. How did they feel afterwards? So their general health, they were rated about 65, 66% there, jumped up 75%. Able to do strenuous activities. It was over 70%, jumped over 90%, almost 95%. Able to do strenuous activities. Discomfort. Well, over 80% of them had some level of discomfort. Dropped down 65% just by getting better sleep using those products, right? Well enough for social activities. That's a big thing. If you don't feel well, you don't want to go out. They were at what, 65%? That jumped up over 85%. Nervousness. Some of them just had a little anxiety or nervousness going into different situations. 65% dropped down to 55%. Happiness. Who doesn't want to be happy? 55% jumped up to 85%. Peace and calm. We don't live in a very peaceful society, do we, right? That was way down here. What is that? 25%. 1 out of 4 of them felt peace and calm. After that, that jumped up over 60%. Sadness was up here, right? If you don't have peace, you're going to have more sadness, right? Almost 80%. Dropped down there below 50%. So really cool changes just with adding that. Daily life got easier. Concentration, they were having trouble. 10% of them, they were much better, 70%. Recalling information jumped from 30% to 80% almost. Working on hobbies went from 48% up to 85%. Doing housework went from 30% up to 85%. Driving long distances, they increased their ability to drive longer. You know, using public transportation, they were able to do it even more. Doing paperwork and finances got easier. Working got easier. Really cool. Irregular sleepers dropped, regular sleepers. It's just, we're seeing that across the board. This is C-reactive protein, which is a measurement of inflammation. What's the root of most disease? Inflammation that's not being addressed at its root cause. What's one of the root causes of inflammation? Not sleeping enough. So it makes sense that if you're sleeping better, it's actually going to drop your inflammation levels. And they measured that with C-reactive protein. So even irregular sleepers who stayed irregular sleepers saw their inflammation levels drop. Right? So this is a really powerful system. It's one of the ones that I'm going to be recommending the most for patients with sleep issues. And not just one thing. If it is just one thing, it's going to be the oil, because you saw, 100% increase in sleep quality with just the oil. But if you can increase it more, and it makes sense, get it from 3 dimensions, get that touch, get that aromatic, and get that internal, then you've got a whole 3-step Serenity system and use all 3 at once. Now, this is the one I'm most excited about. And you know me, I don't get excited about much. But I got excited about this. And the last year we've been talking a lot about the gut. A lot of you have gone through the gut health protocol to heal that gut. And honestly, I still think that's the best process for the gut. But even that's been changing over the last year, hasn't it? Some of you have started off using a 3-step system or a 4-step system. Now it's a 5-step system. The colors on the bottles are changing. The ingredients inside the bottles are changing. What's going on? Well, it's getting better. It is. And I'll teach you more about that at more workshops. This is not that workshop. But one of the big questions I got out of that, and some of you in this room have asked me that, I finished the 30 days with that. What do I do now? Right? What should I keep doing? And here's the answer. Right? So I've taken probiotics on and off for my entire life. Hasn't done much for me. Haven't noticed any difference in digestion. But I do notice a difference in digestion when I travel, when I stay in different places, when I'm not eating home-cooked meals. Right? Anybody else have that experience? Yeah, my poop quality goes from about an A- down to like a C+ on good days. Right? Anybody else experience that? Yeah. So they announced this. They put it in the kits. I bought a kit right away. I started taking it right away. Figuring, not going to hurt anything to take a good probiotic while I'm on the road. Within 24 hours, I went from that C+, B- range up into the A range. It was better than when I left home. Why was it better than when I left home? Well, what they realized is that most probiotic supplements out there don't actually do what they're designed to do. Why? Because it's not getting to where it needs to go. And so they help fix that. They help fix that two ways. Number one, they didn't just put the probiotic in there, they put its food in there. Prebiotics, right? And then they separated the prebiotic from the probiotic with two different capsules and a layer of stuff that helps preserve it. And then they added postbiotic metabolites for those of us who don't have a healthy enough gut to make those postbiotic metabolites. And so even if your gut's not all the way healed, it's not all the way functioning the way that it should, this can actually help bridge that gap until your gut is healthy enough. And then one of the things that they talked about is just all the things that we're inundated with that kill off good bacteria. And I knew this, right? I talked to you guys about this stuff, but it's like, no. It's not just our food has been deprived of it and we're using antibiotics. So it's like, no, everything that we come in contact with is so sanitized that our bodies are being robbed of the probiotics, the good bacteria that we need to live and survive. This to me is becoming another addition to the daily essentials, right? We've got the daily essentials packets and it's got your multivitamin, it's got your omega, it's got your vitamin D3 with some probiotics to help you absorb that D3. It's got the magnesium glycinate in there, and it's got the B complex in there, right? And those, most of us, 90% of us are deficient in all of those, right? And so we need to be taking those. But after learning all this, I'm like, no, we're also very, very deficient in good, healthy bacteria and need to be on a daily basis adding this in. And that's not just for us, it's for our kids too. So it's not just one product. This is the one that adults, all of us should take. But they also added in too this one here. So they have a PB Assist Junior that they've had for a long time, and it's okay, but they've reformulated it now to have more active cultures in here. So this doesn't have the prebiotics and it doesn't have the postbiotic metabolites in it, but the way that they made it helps kids get it into their system and increase the strain. And for those of us that don't like capsules, that don't like pills, it's not in a capsule or pill form. It's just a powder. And anybody remember Pixie Sticks, the candy? Yeah. So Pixies, it's basically powdered sugar with flavors, right? You bite off or tear off the end and you dump it in your mouth. This tastes like that. It's strawberry watermelon. And it's not sugar. I believe this one is xylitol or erythritol. I don't remember exactly. But the main thing here is you don't want to mix it with hot water. Hot water will start to kill some of the bacteria in there, right? And that's how we kill germs is hot water. So you mix it with cold water or you go straight down the hatch. And it tastes really fantastic. It was one that I wanted you guys to sample, but you guys all sampled it the week after I got back. And so I'm out until it releases. So you can actually see the release date on these. The last couple of these, so the Serenity system is out. You can get this today on your doTERRA account. The PB Restore, not out until November 1st. So this one's not ready yet, unless you get the convention kit, which I'll go through in a little bit. So that kind of goes into some of that. PB Assist, yep, other good things that it does. This one, really cool. I'm learning more and more about trace minerals, but basically what it comes down to is the multivitamins that we take have minerals in it, the major ones that we know we all need, but most of us are also really deficient in trace minerals. And we don't need a lot of them, but we need them regularly. And the reason why we're deficient in them is because the soil's been overfarmed, right? You've got all this industrial farming going on. And so if you don't live by the ocean and make your own, like do your own farm, you're not getting enough trace minerals. And so this is a good way to do that. Now, these are designed to be like a Gatorade replacement, right? They're flavors for people that want to have Gatorade. But Gatorade doesn't have trace minerals in it. This has trace minerals in it. And so what are some of those? So it's got a metabolic blend. So this is part of the MetaPower line. So if you want to know more about the MetaPower line, it was the big deal at the last convention that I didn't go to. You can find out more about that on the doTERRA website, but it's got the same blend in there that all the other MetaPower products do, which is actually designed to help with aging and aging well. But then it also has good levels of sodium, not like sodium chloride, but like good levels of sodium that keep you in a healthy relationship with the other minerals. Good levels of potassium, which is usually the one that we're deficient in. It's got the chloride there because it's salt. It's got 4 different types of magnesium, including the type that our brains absorb the best. Magnesium threonate, I believe is what it's called. That's the one that it needs. Then it's got the calcium, it's got baobab, it's got deep ocean minerals, just in case there's one out there that we didn't know we were missing. And it's got ginseng in there as well for healthy levels of energy. And so this is really cool. I sampled it during that week that I came back from the convention, but this one isn't available until January 1st. That is going to be a brand new product coming at the beginning of the year. Yes.
Are all those different flavors then?
So 2 different flavors here. So let me see if I can read it, but one is like fruit punch and the other one's like lemon lime.
Okay.
So yeah.
Just like
Yeah, just like Gatorade, right? They've got more flavors now, but yeah. So the release dates on these. So the bulk of these are already available. You got those released. You can get them online separately on October 1st. On October 15th, the birch will become available. And then on November 1st, the new probiotic line will become available. On January 1st, the MetaPower trace mineral packets will become available as well. So, however, if you want to try it before then, guess what? It's a good time to do it because you can get the whole kit and get each of those, right? So if you liked everything and you're like, man, I don't want to have to wait for November 1st or whatever, you can actually order the whole kit now. And because of the PV value on this, 200 PV, there's a special going on for the month of October that if you place an order, you get a free adaptive bath oil and the adaptive blend, which is actually my favorite blend previous to all this stuff. It might still be my favorite blend, but it's really good for anxiety. People with attention deficit really benefit well from the adaptive blend. And oftentimes I will diffuse that over there. I'm actually running the harvest blend right now, the fall blend, which actually has a lot of the same properties as the On Guard, because I'm trying to keep people's immune systems up. I also like that it smells like apple cider when I walk over by it as well. And spice cake, that too as well. But you get the 2 things for free. Plus there's another one that you get for free if you add the convention kit, or really anything over 125 PV is the at a certain type of tree that's not the birch. I can't remember offhand, and I didn't put it on my slide, but it's another freebie. So yeah, it might be the balsam. Yeah, it was one of the trees, right? So you get all this, you get that, and if you're first time, if you don't have a DoTERRA account, which I think everybody here does, maybe, possibly, no? Okay, so anybody that doesn't, you'll also get a diffuser, I believe. And I believe we also have a code for you to get you even more free stuff. So if you wanted to start, this is a great time to start because you get all that stuff, all the stuff you just got an opportunity to try and learn about, and then you get tons of freebies for the month of October. So there is also more coming, right? So anybody love that little diffuser that's in the bathroom? Yeah, it's great. So that is only seasonal, right? You can't just go to doTERRA's website and buy that. You might be able to find it used on Facebook Marketplace, but then you don't know who beat it up, right? So they are going to be releasing a brand new one, and I wish they put this in the picture, but it actually looks like a Christmas tree ornament. It's not supposed to go on the Christmas tree, but it's painted like that shiny red, like you see on a Christmas tree bulb. But basically, how it works is you just screw one of these bottles into it, and then either leave it plugged in or it's got a USB charger on it, and you set it where it goes, and it's got a motion activated, and it gives 3 puffs every 10 minutes if there's motion. If there's no motion, it doesn't give 3 puffs at all. So it's pretty cool. Are you grabbing it for me?
Yeah.
Yeah. So mine's not as sexy as the new one's going to be. So, but you can see exactly how it works. I've got the On Guard into the top there because why not? It's the bathroom, right? let's only let the good germs grow. But then it's got 2 settings. It's got the normal, which is the one I'm using because my bathroom has a lot of people going in and out of it. And then it's got the high setting, which is for people that might have a little less people going in, but you still want that blast to go in there. And so mine is actually going through the on guard really fast because of how much foot traffic is going through. But this would save somebody else who might be dumping it into the diffuser and just letting it run in a house every single night because it's motion activated. And the battery is usually good for about 4 days, is what I've found, every 4 or so days, which is a little annoying because I'm open 6 days. So in the middle of my week, I have to go plug it in and make sure. But they've got all sorts of new holiday products here. If you want to know what they are and more about those, just get your smartphone, let that bring up the app, or take a picture of it and then go search that on the internet afterwards, and that'll show you what else is going on with these. But there's a lot of really cool stuff. Like this is diffusing garland. So if you want to decorate with something that diffuses oils out there, you've got the Serenity Bedtime Kit is going to be packaged for Christmas. If you know somebody that's struggling with their sleep, that's a good gift as well. There's going to be some cinnamon like candies, but healthy, right? I might put some of those out after we get through the on guard ones. Yeah, make it really big. Zoom way in. Yeah, and some phones don't always do it, but you've got an iPhone. It should work. There you go. There you go. Everybody get that wanted to? I'll leave that up. But at the convention, they had a whole room for the Christmas stuff. It was decorated in Christmas, gingerbread houses. They let us sample all this stuff. They've got some Christmas skincare products that are coming out that are shea butter based, which is really cool. So I was just really excited about that. I will probably be getting most of my family and friends doTERRA Christmas stuff this year. I thought that was really cool. So those are all the products. You can find most of them on the doTERRA website now. Oh, yep, that's it, huh? Oh, yeah, that's the class. Welcome, guys. I guess we're done. No, so here's the deal. If you want some of the kit without buying it, without going online, I have some of the kit to sell. Not this stuff. Obviously, it's been opened, and yeah, you don't want everybody who's rubbed their finger on the toothpaste, right? Let's not all share the toothpaste, right? But yeah, I've got some of the stuff back here to sell. I'm selling it at MSRP so that I can actually make it worth my while. If you want it at the wholesale price, go onto the doTERRA website. I'll get you a free membership if you don't have one already, and you can get it at 25% off. And if you like it enough to keep trying it, if you have a LRP order of at least 100 PV, which is usually about how many dollars you need to spend per month for the next 3 months, that'll give you points back of increasing 10% amounts for 3 consecutive months. And if you continue that, it's 30% points back ongoing. So it makes sense to have an LRP order, especially if there's things that you continue to get. Like I know some of you really like the deep blue, put it on LRP, right? If you're using the Serenity Sleep System every single night, put it on LRP. Save yourself the 25% off. I know, that guy's so ugly. All right, put it on the LRP. If you've got, if there's some of the vitamins that we've recommended for you, put it on the LRP because it's usually only about a 30-day supply in there so that you can save yourself the next time around and a little bit more the next time around. I've been starting to get all sorts of free stuff, so I'm going to start bringing those in to allow you guys to get it without the doTERRA membership or without buying a kit or any of that stuff, but it will be about 25% more expensive than buying it off of the website. And I won't be able to give a discount on those things just because the markup, or not the markup, but the cost of acquiring those is so much. So those are a little bit separate. But if anybody did want just a stick or just the Blue Lotus or just the toothpaste, I believe I have one of those. This is my only PV restore. I'm kind of hoping nobody buys it so I can just take it home because I want to keep using this even through November 1st, and my whole family is taking these. My kids are taking them. It's been really incredible. And just since I've added some of this stuff in, my kids have been able to add dairy back in and add gluten back in, which I didn't think they might ever do. So it doesn't mean that all the stuff I was doing before wasn't working. It just, sometimes you just need that one more thing to help with that. This is the PB Restore, the probiotic with that as well. And they've actually been doing the kids version of this. This is, I believe, 66 wholesale, I believe. So MSRP is going to be a little higher. Let me pull that back.
59 is what I wrote
Yeah,
down.
59. Yep, you're right. Yeah, 59 for that wholesale. So if you have the account, which I can get you a free account, then that's 59 wholesale. So that is a little bit more expensive than like the Max Living probiotic, but I took the Max Living probiotic and it didn't do what this did. So I'm happy to give you that one. That one was the one I most recommended before. Still a really good one, but this one just a little bit better. This doesn't completely replace that whole 4R gut reset protocol, and it doesn't have a place in that gut reset protocol, but it does have a place after you've done that protocol. So that's a really fantastic one, probably my favorite of the bunch. So, any other questions?
If somebody's allergic to birch.
Don't do it. Yeah, don't do it. Yeah.
Had to check.
Yeah, and for those of you that are dog owners, what I've found, not 100% of the time, but typically if you're wondering if it's safe for dogs, it is using in. If it's a large space, like an open space, it's probably fine, unless they're running out of the room. They will react and respond and run out. And most of the time, what we find is it's a tree that you're diffusing, like a birch or cedar wood or something along those lines. You diffuse it, and then the animals don't do well with that. So for animal owners, animal lovers, there are some of those, but there is a free online course for essential oil safety that comes along with your membership. You just have to go onto DoTERRA and search for that. And it's got all sorts of courses on there on essential oils. They want to make sure that you know how to use them safely and effectively as well. And then the other thing, I know that a lot of you are like, yeah, this all sounds great. How do I know if I need it, right? Kind of like with supplements, how do I know if I need it unless Dr. Jake tells me? Well, I have a test for that. And we talked about it at the beginning of the last class. It's called a Zytoscan, and it uses transdermal optical imaging, which is capable of measuring your pulse, your respiration rate. It even gets your heart rate variability in there. Oh, there it goes. Somebody moved. And that test allows us to dial in on which specific oils would be most beneficial to you. So if you're interested in that test, I pay $50 a month for it, but I get unlimited scans for you guys. So as patients, you guys get that completely for free, and it can help us customize which of those you need. So if you want that, just let me know and we'll schedule it during a special consultation or during a progress evaluation if you already have that scheduled, and we can look and see what you need, what you respond best to. I was surprised by mine. It was nothing that I owned, of course. So, I've had to go out and like pick out some. So I just ordered a couple new ones today because my Zytoscan was a little off and I needed some new things. Yeah, it's good though. Yeah. The stick, the Serenity stick? Yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't do a ton of it, but yeah, just a little bit on the wrists. And yeah, I think Miriam would do great with it. I can't guarantee she'll sleep through the night, but no. Yeah, yeah. No, I mean, baby sleep cycles. Yeah. Yeah, just do one little swipe right there. Yeah. So yeah, that's the Serenity. Yeah, right. Yep. So yeah, in your little bottle, surprise, I gave you the Serenity if you didn't figure that out already. So if you have a diffuser at home already, what I would suggest is put about 10 drops in there and diffuse that about 30 minutes before you go to bed tonight. And you probably won't notice a difference right away, right? It takes a little bit, but I put about an ounce in each of those bottles. It was, by eye. I didn't measure it out. Just tried not to spill it everywhere is the main thing. So, but I did want you guys to all have some of that. I feel like that's something that just about every single person can benefit from. So yeah, that's your gift for coming to the class tonight. Plus getting to experience some of the new stuff that I'm excited about. So any other questions for me? No? Okay, so big one though, big announcement here. If you guys are going to miss a class at all for the rest of the year, do not miss the Battle Ready workshop on the 30th. Battle Ready on the 30th. It is
30th of October.
this month. Yeah, we are coming up. So 3 weeks from today, we are going to be doing, it's a deep dive into cancer. And this is, I mean, 1 out of 2 women will get some form of cancer in their lifetime. Yeah, 1 out of 3 men will get some form of cancer in their lifetime. And if you're already starting to get skin cancers and little skin lesions and different things that you feel like you need to get burned off, you need to be at this class because you can't get healthy that way. You can't just cut it off and, oh, I'm good. Right? That's not how it works. Your body creates a specific environment and then cancer grows in that environment. And if it keeps coming back, it's because you've created that environment and you haven't gotten rid of it. And so we have to figure that out. I'm going to do a deep dive on that with Cheryl on the 30th. And it's so much information. I mean, I don't know how I'm going to fit it into 2.5 hours, but plan on 3, right? Plan on 3. We'll do what we can to make sure you guys have some sort of calories in your belly. But yeah, definitely get some supper before you come because this is going to be the makeover that you guys need. And that goes for everybody online. You don't want to watch it online. You want to be here in person for this one. That's definitely, don't miss that one. Keep learning, keep watching, keep participating. And then let me see. Yeah. Oh, yeah. We're having our 7th year anniversary the day after that. So we'll have been here for 7 years. So it says 8, but yeah, starting year 8. Yeah, whatever. 7th anniversary. Yeah.
That's what I was wondering. That's going to be online. Will be able for the person to be able to watch it after the fact?
Yeah. Yeah. So if you get it and you're like, oh my goodness, I have friends and family that need to see this, you'll just be able to share that link with people that need it. So yeah, that'll definitely be available for people to watch after the fact, just like this one is. But obviously, you didn't get to experience the oils if you weren't here, right? It's like, oh, what's that smell like? Oh, my wrist doesn't smell like anything through the camera, right? Doesn't work quite that way. Although it was really cool at the convention because they were on a stage in Salt Lake City at a basketball arena. They were at one end, but they diffused all these new oils into the arena in massive amounts. And so we did get to like actually experience the smells of the stuff that they were talking about while they were talking about, which was pretty cool. Yeah, I really liked it. It was a good time. I really enjoyed myself. Yeah. All right. Thanks for coming, guys. If you did need to pick up any supplements, they are 15% off tonight, other than the doTERRA stuff. But if you wanted some of that, didn't want to wait to order it for yourselves, I've got a few things that are available to sell.
Do we get a card punch?
Yes, absolutely. Always get your card punch. Never miss